I heard that some people start loving the sound of their own voice. Are you comfortable listening to your voice, Edwina?
You call me Edwina. I don't, to be honest, Gary. You always say to me, you ask me questions and you don't. I think we said a couple of weeks ago we've got more comfortable re-listening to ourselves now than initially when it was really painful. But I always think I just sound like a middle-aged home economics teacher.
Goodness me, I have to be comfortable with it these days. But yeah, years and years and years ago, the thought of my listening to my own voice would make me run a mile, but not so much these days. Anyway, welcome to the Tea and Trails podcast. I do feel a bit somber recording this week, Eddie, but it's bittersweet. You know, we weren't supposed to be doing this episode, but here we are. And yes, we'll get into all of that later. Thank you to all our partners who provide a discount code for our ACE Patreons. We have Precision Fuel and Hydration, Up, Tiki Boo, Mountain Fuel, Outdoor Active, Vela Forte, Silver, Active Route, The Centurion Running Store, Protein Rebel, SportShoes.com, Big Bobble Hats, X Miles, Fawnside Farm Cottages, Yugoku Projects, Redbreast Sports, and Summit Crazy, plus Ultra Trails too. If you'd like to save some money and support our podcast and our partners, then please consider joining Patreon. We couldn't do this without our Patreons. It's as simple as that. Maybe even treat yourself over at Summit Crazy if you would like some awesome Tea and Trails merch.
Episode 51, the one that wasn't meant to be, but it's here. We ummed and ahed whether to record this week, but we've decided to just get it out there. Bryn actually said don't do it because nobody wants to hear you whining anymore. So I felt with that support, I will definitely do it. But we have a lovely, upbeat and very funny interview with Hugh Williams to distract you all from my stories of woe. We have Brew with the Coaches, Tales and Trails, pop over to Strava, and plus Gaza and I share our deets. I apologise in advance for my, maybe some people will like my voice, my slightly deep, croaky voice, because alongside a slightly broken body, I also have a chest from hell. Thank you to the kids. If you've been following the podcast the last month, you know I've been dealing with children just, why do they cough? They literally just cough, open their mouths right all over you. So not only has this week been very sad injury-wise, but also I have been so ill. But I'm here. I'm still standing, in the words of Elton. Let's do the show.
Thank you to Precision Fuel and Hydration for sponsoring this week's show. So much knowledge over precisionfuelandhydration.com. Check out their knowledge hub and case studies. They have an online fuel calculator and you can book a free call with a sports scientist to go through your fueling and hydration plan. We've both done it. And even if they were not a sponsor, I would 100% recommend you jump on a call. Patrons get 15% off and anyone can get 15% off their first order with the code Tea and Trails 15. That's all caps, Tea and Trails 15.
You can find all the links for our sponsors and Patreon partners at www.teaandtrails.com or in the show notes. Let's do you first, please.
All right. Okay.
I need to put this off for as long as I can because I think it's good. You go. We'll just get into our rhythm. We'll just keep it going like we always do. It's just two friends catching up. It's not big drama. It's not being a nervous breakdown. It's just normal. Let's just keep it smooth. Gary has said, everybody, no. He said, if you're going to cry, I don't want to do this.
So, I think I said in the WhatsApp, I can't wait, can I?
I actually it. I'm going to put it on Facebook. So let's do this. There are not going to be any tears. We've moved on from that now. We're into the anger phase.
Seems like such a long time ago because the way 2 weeks now, we've recorded Thursdays and it's really thrown my
It throws us out. No, let's get back. We're back up. We're already booked up for next Tuesday. So we're back on the right. Yeah, it's too much. It's too long. I can't do without you for that. That's a whole,
I know.
that's a whole lot of time. I start shaking. I just start WhatsApping you random pictures. You didn't reply to my squirrel. I thought that was
sorry.
Funny. No reply. He's only after one thing, everybody. He's only
tough
after
crowd. Anyway, what did I do? Well, lots of miles with Rex. I don't want to be a downer, but I am struggling to.
No, can't be.
I know. I'll bring it up. I do bring it up eventually. I promise me. Stay with me. I'm struggling to find my groove, if I'm being honest with myself. I'm still showing up. You know, it's not all bad. I think if anyone looks at my Strava, they'll think, goodness me, Gary, that's struggling to find your groove. Then what hope the rest of of us got. But yeah, so I'm still getting it done, but it always feels rushed. I don't have much joy in it. And I always feel like I'm stealing time from something else. And part of me, I've wrestled this quite a lot. If I didn't enter another race, then I wouldn't have to run, and I could just run with Rex a couple of times a day.
Yeah.
I would be as fit as I need to be as a human being. I just couldn't perform as well as I'd like to at races. So yeah, that thought is going through my mind quite a lot at the moment, but I think the way that I'm wired, my DNA needs that. I just need to push myself. And especially now I'm tipped over into the V50 category. I do think I'm kind of competitive again in an age group. So yeah, I'll just wrestle at the moment. There's a lot going on. Lots and lots going on. I just feel like when I'm doing one thing, I'm robbing time from something else. But yeah, it's still showing up. So yeah, don't feel too sorry for me. You might have noticed the standing desk is gone. I'm sitting down now.
I'm standing up.
I don't know if it's all BS, standing desk. So anyway, I'm going to sit down, see if my back's killing me at the end of this Zoom call. So yeah, that has gone. And so far, I've got so much more space. But the workouts, did my 8 times 3 minutes. And I think I mentioned I did that with the Cavendish documentary, really good. So yeah, like I said, we recorded late last week. So cocked up my timings. I did my strides. I went to the gym and I've hurt my back again, Eddie. I'm such a dumbass. I think what it is actually, I'm trying to lift the same weights as I was lifting before Lakeland 100. Just complete ego, stupid man. So I need to either, well, two things I'm going to do is grab the owner of the gym or one of the instructors and say, look, can you check out what I'm doing? Because I've hurt myself twice. I've got away with it. You know, it's nothing serious. I can still run and things like that. But yeah, very mindful of the back. Or maybe there's that back extension machine. So you can pick up dumbbells and stuff, or I could use it. I'm not keen of it when I see people. And the trap bar that we've got at the gym, I've seen various trap bars, and some trap bars have another, like a little handle that raises you up even more.
Yeah.
It's like, so you step inside the trap, but then it's got like two little U-shaped handles.
Yeah,
well,
that's
our trap, yeah, ours doesn't have that. So you're still lifting.
Oh, you're still going from
picking up
from,
yeah. So, but I think basically either need to stop doing it, do it correctly, or reduce the weight. They're the three.
I think all of those three should be all on the list. Definitely getting help with the form, I think, should be the first one when it's feeling a bit better.
Yeah, but I wasn't too all ego. When I felt it go, I didn't go and finish all of the sets. I just stopped and moved on. 2 hours easy on Saturday in minging weather. That's zone 2, classic easy long run. Horrible weather, but Aaron and Chris kept me company, so that was lovely. And then Sunday, yeah, this is when my week picks up big time. On Sunday, I met up with a bunch of Sedgefield Harriers. They all came up from Sedgefield, and it's only, say, 10 miles away, so it's not like a huge journey. But yeah, they all came over to go for a run around Castle Dean. I feel really sorry for them because the week before it was like Narnia, Winter Wonderland. This Sunday, kind of a muddy mess. But we had a great time, a few hours, didn't do all the hills. I keep threatening to do the full 17 hills of Castle Dean, but I think we'd probably be still down there. Well, I think we'll do the 12 hills. We'll do the 12 hills of Castle Dean.
Okay.
Yeah, 12. So that is, it's good actually. Every Sedgefield Harriers, they do like an annual event. So every member would like lead an event. And that's my little contribution to it. So we'll do that again. Yeah, it's going to be lovely. Hopefully we'll get some snow for that. So 12 hills. I need to find 12 of the easiest hills just so everybody can be involved.
But I'd be in there. I'd be roasting everyone going, no one's walking on Christmas Day.
But what we could do, what is good, sometimes people don't have to go up the hill because a lot of the hills are out and backs. So you could just walk up and then meet us. Or wait at the bottom. You're not going to progressively get left behind sometimes with workouts. If you're doing, like, say, 5 times a mile on the streets, then you're going to lose half the group pretty quick. But yes, then, because I couldn't make the annual awards, they presented me with my nice little stash of prizes from Sedgefield Harriers this year. So we've got there over my right shoulder, the Dave Sawyer Award for Endurance. And Dave Sawyer one year did a massive run from Sedgefield Park Run. He did the park run, then ran, it's kind of hard to visualize the geography, but he ran to Bamborough Castle, which is a hell of a long way. It's a hell of a long. Somebody stopped us like, "Oh, what are you doing?" And we're like, "Oh, we're going to run to Bamborough." And the guy's face when he actually clocked what we were doing was just a picture. It was hilarious. And then he got to Bamborough in time for the start of the Bamborough Half Marathon. So a lot of jeopardy on actually showing up and doing it. And after he did that and various other things, he, I suppose, got earned the right to give this award out to other people who do endurance events. So yeah, I've been chipping away for a long time trying to get my name on that trophy, and eventually 7 years on, I'm on there. So
You have to set up a podcast.
I know, yeah, I had to run across Wales. God damn it! Yeah, it took me ages to get that. So yeah, super chuffed with that. And then we got the individual performance of the year.
I love the way
Dragon.
that Eddie's really down, mentally really down, feeling really ill, and Gary's just showing off his
Heavy
trophy.
flex, bang.
Eddie, and I won this, and then I won this. Oh, good. Thank you. Oh, I'm joking.
Individual performance of the year over there. So that is awesome. Again, for Dragon's Back race. Yeah, so felt super spoiled. But what they did do, and my good friend Ray, I've mentioned him a few times on the podcast, and it's honestly, be careful when you mention stuff to people. Sometimes, lovely people are just listening. It's the same as Robbo when he did a scrapbook for my 50th birthday. I was so touched with that. But anyway, yeah, so if people remember, during the Dragon's Back race, I was so fortunate enough to be captured in a painting, a watercolour of me. I think that must have been around the Cribgoch area. It's got my red compression shorts on, so they're immortalised now. So yeah, and long story short, I made a decision not to buy it. I just didn't feel comfortable spending that amount of money. I'm not saying it was expensive, because I do value people's time. But you'll know, Eddie, being self-employed, you become acutely aware of the value of time. So yes, it wasn't expensive in that respect, but I just didn't feel comfortable spending that amount of money. And I mentioned this to Ray a few times, just in passing, when we've been out and about on the trails.
I put in the link. I said, what do you think?
Here's her email address. And anyway, that went in, and apparently there was a WhatsApp group. My wife told me this afterwards. There was a WhatsApp group, and Ray put in some work to basically get some money out of everybody to chip in and buy this lovely picture for me. And it becomes so much more symbolic now, because I wanted it as a memory for myself. It's quite an external thing, but what it has done, wow, if I'm ever feeling down the dumps, I just look at that and you just remember there's some awesome people out there that I thought I'd never see that picture again, or maybe not on my wall at least. Anyway, and yeah, when I opened up the parcel on Sunday, it completely blew me away. Yeah, 100%, just over the moon with that. Awesome. Yeah, like I said, some wonderful people out there. So thank you everybody who got involved with that. Yeah, but super big shout out to Ray doing that. I will never forget that. And that is my week. Yeah, no YouTube reviews. I've got a backlog, Eddie. I've got about 6. I've got a couple of pair trainers from Scott. They sent some stuff out to me. So yeah, if you're listening, Scott, and you're wondering where they are, it's happening. I'm still going to do one a week, so they're taking a bit longer than hope. I've got the Ultimate Direction backpack. Ooh, I've got some more headphones. So eventually we will get there. But fingers crossed, if I get everything done, I'll get my silver Trail Runner Free 2 full head torch review out this week. Started off not so bad, but filled my cup on Sunday. I had a lovely, lovely week. Okay.
We should not talk about it and just move on.
Tales from the trails.
I'm very good at just moving on and pretending that didn't happen. We just stop. Doesn't that annoy you on podcasts though, when they talk about something and then you go, if it's something you're quite invested in, and then it doesn't happen, or they just never tell you. You want the details. You're like, I'm heavily invested in this. I want the inside knowledge. I don't just want to know, what's out there. I want to know why that happened. Anyway,
yes, yeah,
so I'm meant to be doing the Winter 200. You and I would be in the thick of it right now. Would be starting maybe to head up north, but I'm not. I'm here. I'm at home. And so I decided on Sunday that God, I'd packed everything. It took me 2 days to sort out. This is not for sympathy, but it took me 2 days to sort everything out. I packed everything. I was going already. I was, as I'd said in the podcast, like my knee that had for no reason at all just swollen up after I'd done that big hike had been going down, and it had felt fine. And I'd been running on the treadmill, and that had felt fine. And then but I was just a little bit worried about it. So I ran on the Saturday night on the treadmill, and it felt fine. I got off the treadmill. We were doing the kids' tea. I started just walking up and down the house, and I was like, oh, Brent, it really hurts.
When we're talking hurts, we're like 6 out of 10, 7, 8?
Yeah, like Like,
Oh,
oh,
okay.
and
Yeah.
then it would just go away again. And I'd be like, and then after about, so I was like, oh my God, it really hurt. It really hurts, Bryn. And then as it had hurted 2 weeks ago when I'd woken up with it. And then I walked around the house, started doing bedtime, and it had gone. So it was kind of like, this is so, am I just being paranoid?
Yeah.
So we had a bit of a chat and he said, I think you should go for a run tomorrow. I think you should go and run 10 miles. It's not going to make any difference to your race, but it's going to tell you whether you can. So I've been to my physio and she'd said, it feels fine. There's a little bit of swelling, grisliness, but compared to how it was, it feels fine. I think you'll be all right. Your call, but there's nothing like structurally wrong. It's just still a tiny bit swollen, and the adductor and everything is tight around it. So, but she'd done her best to loosen it, and she was like, "You're gonna roll the dice. I'll tell you, yeah, you can. From a biomechanical point of view, it's okay." So I went for a run on Sunday, and because I had to fly very early on the Monday morning, ran up the hill, no pain. I was like, "Oh my God, I feel great," because I haven't really run very much for the last 2 weeks. I feel amazing. My legs were like springing along. I was like, "No pain, great." Turned around to come and run downhill. And I swore as I took my first step down here. It was so painful. I was like, and there were people getting ready to go skiing because it's at the bottom of the piece. And I went, oh. And I like limped. And then as I ran more, it sort of wore off. But I was like, when you're like frightened to step because you're like, if that pain comes back, but it didn't. But it did, the adductor around the knee, it did feel like, it just didn't feel quite right. If I didn't have a race, I probably wouldn't even notice it. I just think it's a bit of tightness, need to get in there with the foam roller, need to sort that out. It didn't feel too bad, but I got home and I was like, I just had that sick feeling in my stomach. I was like, so much was being invested in this race, not just me, I'm the easy bit. You were coming a long way down. Lisa was going to cover the whole week. You were giving up a week's worth of work. Tim, the other guy, he was going to do the same. Lindsay and George, my dear friends, would get, they were switching work to come and get me from the airport. And there were a lot of other people involved. It wasn't just me going to do something that I felt like it's got to be all in. And I know you guys, if I'd said to you guys, I'm not sure, do you mind if I start? You would have all said, yes.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah.
People you've offered to crew, you're that sort of people. But I'm not that sort of person. If I'm going to stand on the start line, I'm going to rip off anybody's head who's going to challenge me. I'm going to race, I remember Debbie made me laugh so much after Spine. She was like, Marco kept ringing me going, Eddie's not talking. She just keeps coming past me. And Debbie's like, Marco, Eddie is trying to beat you. She's a competitor. But I knew you guys would have said, but it's not that sort of race. It's not that sort of race where, so I phoned up my lovely sports therapist lady and I what can I do? And she said, right, go out, put your running stuff back on, go out and run hard. So I live 2 miles outside Morzine, really steep, run that 1,000 feet downhill on the road. That will be your answer. If it hurts, you can't go. She said I said, it's the adductor. It's not the knee now. And she said, if the adductor pulls on the knee, it's not like an Achilles tendon or something where, some of us have a bit of stiff tendons, but once we start running, it loosens off. Brody would always go on about that, wouldn't he? It's like, give yourself the 10-minute warm up. And if it goes to like a 1 or 2 out of 10, keep moving it. She said, the adductor will pull on that knee because it's not working right. And you will end up, you won't get better, Eddie. Let's just say it's not going to work. So that was a real I don't want to not finish a race, for God's sake. I've done that enough. I've started races. South Halfway 100 a few years ago, I started with a painful foot, knowing how painful it was. And I ended up in a boot for 8 weeks with a broken foot. So I don't want to do that again. So the minute she said that, I was like, because I hadn't really thought ahead. I hadn't thought this could actually impact the rest next year. I'd just been so focused on just getting to this start line. Like, I must get to this start line. There wasn't any other option. I must get to this start line. So put my running stuff back on. Bryn drove to the bottom of the hill and I just ran as hard as I could down the hill. It didn't hurt, Gary.
There's no clarity, is there? It's like all over the place.
So I was like, what the hell? It didn't hurt at all. And I was like, oh my God, what do I do? What do I do? So we spent a lot of time. Bryn was so patient. It was just a horrible day, just going back and forth going, what do I do? I think in my heart, I knew that I shouldn't start with that. But the process of facing that and then telling everybody was almost worse. Once I'd like come to terms with myself, then I was like, oh my God, I've got to tell James. I've got to tell all the investment that's gone into the race. I've got to tell all you guys that I'm not coming. And then obviously I've got
it's hard sometimes, isn't it? Just dealing with the other stuff that comes as a result of a decision.
I made the decision. I told you, I told our WhatsApp group. And then I just was like, okay, just sit with that for the night. Told James. And then I told my clients, because I felt it was really important, because obviously I'd written everyone's plan and been like, I'm not going to be here. And I have a lot of very close relationships with them. I pride myself on the fact that they invest in me, I invest in them. And so I wanted them to be the first to know that I wasn't going to be there. And so in some ways, once I'd made that decision, I'd done those people that had to tell, I felt a big sense of relief, because I'd been worrying about the knee. It had all encompassed my thoughts. I'd been like just unable to think about, unable to do anything else for the last week or so, thinking everything I'd done had been to try and get it better, resting.
So when we talked about in the podcast like a few weeks ago now, how front and center in your thoughts was your knee over that period?
Not really at all. It was only as the date approached and it wasn't quite better that I suddenly thought, oh, I'd always thought, and I'm such a positive, I spin the positive on everything. Yeah. I'd always thought it will be better. It will be fine. You have to think like that. You have to be like, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. I have to get everything else ready. There was so much admin and everything to prepare. So, yeah. So, and then Monday, when I was meant to be flying. Anyway, it turned out then that I think that we've had some sort of like, there's something called the 100-day cough. It's like whooping cough, because the kids are still coughing. And Finley's cough came when I went over to watch them in the cross country when I got sunburnt. It has been going on anyway. Monday came and Bryn and I were both so ill. So properly ill that we had to sort of tag team, one going to bed, the other person going to bed.
Oh, wow. Sheesh.
Yeah, really ill. So actually, I was sort of like, it almost took away from the sadness, because I couldn't breathe and got back thinking.
But you have to be, anyone will know who, I never really pay that much attention to the finishing rates of a 200 miler because I've never done it. But if you look at 100-mile finishes, and probably the same exactly for a 200 miler, just to get to the finish, the odds are stacked against you.
I think if I hadn't done the spine, I'd have started Gary, because I knew what it took. I was talking to Trish, and I've had some WhatsApps, because she knows, she gets it. And we know what it takes to get yourself around one of those mega races. You cannot have a weakness. A weakness can develop on course, and you can then deal with it. You can do that, but to go in with something that's not quite right, you've got to be all in. You've got to be all in. And as Bryn so wisely said, he was like, the jeopardy is too high for you to go and start. He said, I don't want that phone call. And this is it's always what somebody says to you, isn't it? He was like, I don't want the phone call 10 miles in of you hysterical, going, can't do it. That's not fair on me. It's not fair on the future. So he was like, it's too high. And then you come home, then we have a terrible Christmas because you're really sad. Then you're injured for the whole of the winter and you can't then do anything. He's like, you've got to take out the race, because I was so looking forward to, if you're a parent or busy, you'll get this. I was almost more looking forward to hanging out with you, seeing the Centurion crew, like meeting listeners. That was like so exciting. I love my family, but I just like, it was my holiday, it was my time. And so the fact that then now I'm here and life just carries on. But that is, in some ways, that's great. Life has just carried on. The kids don't even really notice. They're just like, when was your race, Mum? I'm like, I'm not going. Oh, okay. So anyway, what I thought I'd do is I'm going to put Barbie up, and I'm going to cut her hair, and then I'm going to. But I love that. They just like non-plus. They literally nothing. No, like it's just like, okay, bam, it's gone. Yeah. So
it just gives you a sense of perspective, doesn't it?
Yeah, total sense of perspective. You're just back in the big stuff. So I put something on Facebook, mainly because I was getting lots of messages, lovely, good luck messages, and everyone I got was like, so hard. And
I
was
know.
like,
Oh, goodness me. Yeah.
where can I find the courage to reply to
I would
this?
love, Eddie. You know, everyone was rooting for you, but it's pretty apparent that like everyone's got your back too.
It was
Super
so
sportive.
lovely. I will reply to everybody, but I just obviously can't go on social media for this week. So I will reply to everybody next week. But I put it out there, and the podcast obviously is a big part of Gary's and I life. And Bryn was like, that can't be a deciding factor in whether you go to the race or not, because you want to share the story. But of course it was, because we shared the journey, we shared the training. I knew that everybody was like wanting to follow me on this journey, and I wanted to share it. I was looking forward to sharing it with everyone. And I didn't want to come across as flaky, weak, I've done something stupid and now I can't do the start line. I look stupid, I look weak. And when I put the thing on Facebook, and then Lindsay, one of the other members of the crew, sent me a lovely message too, saying the decisions that look weak are the strongest, stepping away from that.
100%, yeah.
What you really want to do, that golden light, that arch on Swift where you really want to get to, and going, I'm actually not going to do that now. It's not the right time for me. Takes a lot more courage. And I hadn't even really thought of that. And then I put the thing on Facebook, and the comments, a lot wiser people than me.
Be kind to your future self, Eddie. That's
Practice what we preach. Some lovely things. Being kind to future self. There will be other races, and not necessarily, other people going, maybe I wish I'd made that decision and not started in different races and all that sort of thing. And my favorite one was put it in something that rhymes with bucket. And an F, and I like that, and I was like, too right, put it in that. So
we've got an F word later on the show. You could have said that.
No, Daddy listens to the first bit.
Okay.
So yeah, decision made. Horrible few days.
But can you imagine, Eddie, though, like a winter without skiing? A winter with no training. 100% the right decision. And tough, but yeah, I don't think anybody thinks you're being flaky. I think 100%. I chatted with I obviously spent a lot of time chatting with Lisa about it and the pros and cons. If you rolled the dice and everything went well, and you got away with it, but then the jeopardy if it didn't go well.
Lisa's wrath when you were like, I'm driving home again the next day.
You could miss a race, or it could be actually really like long-term serious. I think you just can't risk it. 200 miler, like I just said earlier, just to get to the finish, if you're fighting fit, is hard enough, let alone if you're going in there with an injury. I've
learned a lot in the process, though. I've learned a lot of the process of training for this. I've already looked back. I just had a really good 2-hour-long chat with this lovely guy. He's going to help me with my strength training over the winter. And he's like, let's just look at all your other training. And when you tell people what you do and they're like, his face. So I'm going to make some big changes. I won't talk about them now, but I'm already planning on making some big changes because I felt that this block of training I did it. I was really proud. It was really hard.
Are they specific around rehab or just general changes?
All sorts.
Okay.
All sorts, Gary. I'm not going to share it now. We'll share it next week because let's just. But it was important for me to be always to be reflective on why has this happened. Always people, the statistics are you get injured in the last week, basically the last week of your training when you push too hard. But anyway, so that was a little bit of how the decision was made, why the decision was made. And actually with this chest and cough, I don't know what.
Can you imagine that coughing your way around for 200 miles?
I don't know what would happen. Anyway, it wasn't meant to be. And as you said, I need to future self. It's our big thing is being kind to your future self. And that was not being kind. And you're right. I need to be able to the sort of life we lead, where we live, not being able to be outside and do what we love would be seriously bad for my mental health and for
my lowest moments as a runner when I can't run.
Or not do anything. Like needs are like, you need them for everything. So not being able to do even like a dog walk or even just to be able to flick the skis on and ski down the home run with the kids, like it's not worth it. It's also not the kids, even though, so they did do this. So I'm a role model. The kids, though they pretend they don't care who I am. Like, yeah, Mum, I've told you this before, have I? And they're like, you haven't got a degree. I'm like, yeah, I've got a degree. See, Mum.
You've been to uni.
I did 2-1 from Durham University.
Oh yeah, Red Brick University.
Just like, what? Who are you? Anyway, so they did. So on the Monday when Bryn was so ill, he couldn't get out of bed. So I did it. So I had to do all the kids all school run as well. I was like, oh my God, I should be on a race and I'm not, and I'm just going to make him bloody porridge, wiping up all this mess. And 2 of the kids had ski training, so they weren't going until later. And I did the little one's school run and walked the dogs. And when I come back, they'd unpacked my bag and put everything away.
Oh my goodness, what a bunch of stars. I love it.
Well, because it was just sitting there. And I was like, oh, that is going to be a set. Let's just get out all those caffeine gels. Anyway, if anyone needs any caffeine gels in the next month or so.
Honestly, that is it seems like such a small thing to do, but what a powerful gesture that is. Just, you don't have to unpack physically and mentally unpack that.
Get over it, Mum, move on, it's Christmas. And like people have said as well, so people are so wise. I reckon I'm just going to put my daily thoughts onto Facebook and people can just be like, send me comments, like big dilemmas, because people are so wise. They're like, you've got a week back and you've got your Christmas pack, which I would like. We know these mega races, they absolutely wipe you out. They totally wipe you out. And the week after, you're pretty much a non-functional human. You're in such pain. You're not sleeping. You're not really eating. Your head isn't there. Like you're just like still out on the Pennine Way or on Crib Goch. You're like, it's really hard to get back in the room. And so the silver lining is I've had this lovely week where I cleared my diary. I did it. So I've had actually like time, space, headspace to be able to I've written some lovely Christmas cards to my godmothers and people that I wouldn't have had time to do. I started reading my book. I just had time with the kids that I was like, right, come on, let's do, so I've tried to, obviously in my head, I'd be like, but I'd be like, great, be grateful, try and turn this into grateful. And then also next week is Christmas. I've got my mum and dad coming today. We're so excited. That would have been hard. Coming back from the race. And now tons of energy. I've got time to wrap stuff. Christmas will be wonderful. Well, so wonderful it could be. And then I'll be replenished, and there will be other races. And I know anyone that's ever missed a big race or not finished a race, when people say come back stronger, there will be other races. You want to do stuff to them, but it is very true that it just wasn't my time this time. So let's draw the line. Let's move on. Thank you, everybody. What was my biggest fear was of like, I'm letting everybody down. Everybody's so excited, became actually my biggest support when immediately I put it on there, stayed online for a little bit, hundreds of comments like, right decision, brave decision. I was like,
you were brave doing that. I wouldn't have, I'd have just buried my head in the sand. And even doing this today, I deliberately didn't really contact you much. I didn't want to put any podcast pressure on you for this week, but yeah, you said let's do it, let's get it done. So thanks for sharing the mics today.
It's part of sharing the mics, isn't it? We're sharing the journey, and we can't not share it because it's too hard to share, because it's part of everybody gets that as life, and running, it makes you and it breaks you.
Well, yeah, we can't curate it, can we? It has to be.
No, you can't go, we're not going to record because I'm a bit upset. It's like, yeah. And that's again a tone like that. If my kids are like that, I'm like, no, face up to it. Hold your hands up. This is what happened, and learn and move on, just like the maths tests that never go.
Have you full strength tea, or are you still on the decaf?
Monday I blew the caffeine. I was like, I'm a tea bag. Tuesday took it down a notch, and now I think Bryn made this, but I'm pretty sure this has not got the tang I'm looking for back on the decaf. It was. I worked so hard on weaning off the caffeine that I will get back onto it.
Well, thanks for sharing all that, Eddie. Super generous of you to share that with us, our listeners and myself. Yeah, really appreciate it. But it's time for Brew with the Coaches. Who we got this week? This week, our question comes from Patreon, Jay Goulden. I'm training for a 100-mile race where 22 hours would be a really good result. And this works out at around 8 minutes per kilometre with some slippage for aid stations. My question is, should I be running my long runs at that 8-minute kilometre pace and only building in faster/harder work into my twice weekly quality sessions, hill sessions, and interval/tempo runs? This feels really slow and easy compared to how I'd normally do a 3 to 5 hour long run. So I've tended in the past to do these significantly faster than 100-mile goal pace, though still at a comfortable pace. But perhaps I am doing unnecessary damage by going faster than I need to or will aim to on these long runs, which imitate the terrain and the elevation profile of the race. What should I be doing? Jay Goulden. Russell, over to you.
Hi, Jay. Yeah, it's a valid question. And I would say that no, you don't need to be doing your easy runs and your long runs at 8 minutes per K. Because really you're in the business of getting fit and increasing mitochondrial growth and building cardiovascular aerobic strength. So if you're going to go at the race pace, it's probably not going to give you the same amount of stimulus that you could be getting from those hours spent. If you've got all day, every day to be going out there at 8 minutes a K, then you can do it that way. But you can get good benefits with less time by going slightly faster. The only reason that people often train at race pace, well, it's often in my experience with the faster races where you need to spend time at race pace biomechanically. But if you're finding 8 minutes per K is feeling really easy, then I don't see any reason why you can't go a bit faster. I don't think that's going to damage your body. As long as you're feeling easy, rate of perceived exertion is like 1, 2, or 3, heart rate is low, you're fine, and you're going to be getting more benefit from the training that you're doing, because most of us don't have 8 hours a day to spend going out training. And then when the race comes along, hopefully it just feels super easy for the majority of the time biomechanically, and you're so efficient because you've been going a bit faster in your regular training. So that would be my advice: is no, don't worry about race pace at all. When the race comes, you'll be fine. It
is unusual, isn't it? Ultras, even your easy runs are faster than your race pace. So it's a kind of everything flips with the ultra. What about you, Trish?
I would say you need to be doing your long runs at an easy pace. Now, there may be, it depends on your training program. Now, there may be moments in your long runs where you want to, for example, run at a faster pace or introduce a faster pace at the end of those long runs, for example, depending on what's going on in your program. But generally speaking, you want to be doing your long runs at an easy pace within sort of zone 2 at 80%, roughly, again, not to just give big handfuls, but approximately 80% needs to be easy running. So if that's your long runs, then that's totally fine. However, and that will give you an incredible base to go and do well and maintain the consistency you need for a 100-mile race. But you must be doing some hard sessions, and that might be 1 to 2 sessions a week, depending on your fitness level, or approximately 20% of your training. If you think about training principles, I always think of it as a cake. So you can make a basic cake with flour, milk, all the rest of it, and that's your foundation. That's your 80%, and yet that's a great cake. But then your hard stuff, your sprinkles, your icing is the 20% that you've got to be doing on it. You've got to be doing that hard stuff, and it's the hard stuff that's going to help you grow and improve and get better. You can only do the hard stuff properly, though, if you've allowed your body to recover and condition to the load in the week. If you're running consistently hard or too hard too often, your body won't recover in time to do the hero sessions or to recover in order for your fitness to elevate. Okay, you'll end up plateauing, and in some cases you'll even start to decrease your fitness overall. So you must get the balance right. Long runs, vast majority zone 2. There may be times in your training program where you'll add other elements of faster running to your long runs, but that is where, depending on where you are in your plan, whether or not you're in a specificity phase, for example, The other key thing I would say, if you want to do some really good work, I would suggest maybe getting one of your hard sessions to be like threshold sessions where you're running anything, let's say under an hour, which would imitate the terrain and the elevation profile of the race. Maybe save that for a threshold run or a tempo run, something like that, a bit faster running for that. That would be really helpful in terms of building your fitness. But I would say stop focusing on the time, focus on the effort, because it's the effort that's going to determine how you get on. Forget the times, work on the effort.
Jay, you're looking at 22 hours, which would be a really great result. The other thing you could add into your long run to make sure to really dial into that pace. I always say to people, for the long run pace, it's your long run pace if you can follow your fueling strategy. So if you can fuel for a 100-mile race at that pace, that's probably the right RPE for you. If you can't be eating and sorting your stuff, sorting your kit, blah, blah, blah. Remember, within that 8-minute K, you've also got checkpoint faffing. You've got many wild wees you're going to need to do. You've got maybe a little bit of navigation as well. So it is good to find that 100-mile pace, because so many people will go off too fast. They'll run, the marathon in the first 4 hours and then they'll power hike it in. So the other thing you can do, especially if this is perhaps your first 100-mile, is add walking into your long runs, which will naturally decrease the pace and it will become a slower average pace, but you will be walking within that 100 miles. You will probably doing quite a lot of walking. So working on your walking pace within, if you're going out for a 5-hour long run, you walk anything uphill, you then just trot the flats, you trot the downhills, you break up. If you're doing something like Thames Path 100, which is a lot of flat running, you run for 15 minutes, you walk for 2 minutes. Add in the walk, get used to walking fast, changing the muscle groups, getting used to going back into running when you've been walking for a bit, because it's horrible and everything goes, ow, that really hurts, and you mentally have to get over that hurdle. Get used to what that feels like. That will naturally mean that average pace will come down, but it will be more, you will get more used to that feeling of what a 100-mile pace is. Mix it around. There's actually no, the biggest thing you're trying to do is make your aerobic base as big as possible. So if you're running your long runs, as long as they're aerobic, like Trish and Russell said, that's great. You're still making that foundation. You're still making that cake. When you get to the specificity, whether your kit works as well, because if you're running too fast and you get sweaty, your kit, then you're going to get cold. When the night comes, you're going too fast. So it is important to run at that pace, to work out fueling, kit, and everything. But that's in your you only really need to do that, I would say, when you're really in the sort of like 6-week specific. God, that's a hard word. Especially when you're quite dry mouth. Specific. I hope that helps, Jay, for anybody as well that's thinking like, well, how do I? The other thing I like to do is I just like to really mix up my long runs, and I like to do this for my athletes as well. So one weekend I'll say, go wild, 3 hours in the hills, hike everything, have a lovely time, have an adventure. Next week I'll go, right, we're going to do flat, and we're going to do 20 minutes worth of like easy to steady running, back it off to really easy running. So you can really like keep firing your body with different things for long runs, make them interesting. Don't just always do the same thing as well for those long runs. Don't get dialed down on that pace. Just keep training. Fit as you can, as Russell always says, get as fit as you can.
Keep training. Nobody cares. Train harder.
Oh, dear Jay, don't listen to that.
Best of luck, Jay.
Good luck, Jay.
Let us know how it goes. 22 hours, you got this. You got it. Hope that helped in a little way, Jay. Best wishes, and let us know how all the training and races go. This week, we introduce you to Hugh Williams. Well, really, he needs no introduction. When his name popped up on the Facebook feed that we should have him on the podcast, it went viral. People were like, yes, this guy is hilarious. He's got a great story, and he's great. He's a great ambassador for trail running. Oh, so he is. What a guy. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Hugh. Now, there's an F-bomb in here, a little bit of chat around some poos as well. So if your little ones are listening, you've got this on the cart, you might need to pause or just, do some appropriate coughing. Sometimes if I'm listening to something that's got swearing in, I look like the boys are like, just like, Mom. But Eves doesn't really know a lot of the swear words. And I look back and I think it's just gone. Because the French, they just swear all the time on the radio. Yeah, it's just like
Wow.
the F word is not as offensive. Swear words it's kind of almost like everyday language to them, because I hear it and I'm like, oh my God, you hear it on the radio and you're like, and Bryn is like, it's just like a little bit more normal. But obviously we're not that podcast, so there is a bleeper, but we're not going to bleep it out because it's part of Hugh and we love his story. Enjoy our chat with Hugh Williams.
Welcome, Hugh Williams. Well, Hugh, you have been one of our most requested guests. Eddie and I both had people hitting us.
No pressure. You bring your A game and your big hands. No pressure.
Thanks for coming on the Tea and Trails podcast, Hugh. We ask all our guests, where are you? What's the view from your window? And have you been for a run or a walk today?
What was the first question again?
Where are you?
Hello. I've got one of my friends, Gordon, who whenever he phones you up, it's as if he's doing a séance. It's like, hello. And you're like, hello, Gordon. He's like, hello. And you're like, yeah. Where am I? Am I on the other side? So yeah, I'm Hugh Williams. The view from my window at the moment is a very grassy garden. It's that time of year where you let it grow out like a haircut. So that's my view, and a bit of a hedge. Went for a walk this morning at 7 o'clock and I went to the gate and back. Sometimes I go to the sign and back, but the gate and back is half a mile and the sign and back is a mile. So I've done that. And I've just been sat ready like this. You know, whenever you've got the guy coming around to fix the washing machine and you just, you wait. I'm good at waiting. It's one of the things that I've perfected over the years. So yeah, I've been waiting. Obviously, minutes before the show, I had to completely defrag my laptop, which I'm not using, which I'm now using my little his laptop, and I got my iPhone on the laptop. There we are.
I mean, you could have set up the technology instead of just sitting and waiting, but you just like to just relax.
See,
Gary was because Gary gets really nervous before the interviews, and we have to go through all the questions, all the research. Even like Hugh, he even gets annoyed at me if I don't start. If not all the questions on the script are in the same font, in the same box.
Good.
They've all got to be color coded. They've got to start with a capital. And he's always like, Eddie, you're so relaxed. And I'm like, I just like to go with the flow. He likes to bring a more professional approach to this podcast.
I don't know about that. But Hugh, you have got the latest version of Zoom now, which is a relief on your phone.
It is.
So you're good
for call centre help and everything.
Your Zoom meetings now for the rest of the day. You're set. You're covered.
I'm in and out of Zoom meetings like you wouldn't believe. You know when people say, I've just got to, well, what's the word? Not pop in. I've got to jump into a Zoom meeting.
Jump in.
What are you jumping in?
Why?
It's not the swimming baths. You're on about. Yeah.
You live on, am I right? You live on a farm. Is that correct?
Yes, I live in, I'm not a farmer, but my wife and in-laws and everybody around me we live on a cattle farm. It sounds as if I'm in Texas. The farm's called Kai Corn. Corn meaning that the horns, not so it's the farm of the big horned field. That's where we live. But yeah, the in-laws, they do organic milk, which is great for the kids. They're literally just 2 fields across from where we are. They do organic milk. The milk you get in McDonald's comes from them. They've also got like I'm addicted. You know, like you all like your chocolate milk after an ultra. Back in the day before protein shakes. Well, they've got like 4 milk vending huts around.
I've seen these on the TV. Awesome.
It's brilliant. So yeah, it's milk galore. Milk and hairdressers. If you come to Patelli, you're drinking milk and having your haircut.
And you have lovely hair from all that calcium. Yes. Everything must have like lovely skin and really nice hair.
It's like modern day Athens in Patelli. People just brushing their hair, drinking milk. Maybe. I don't know.
And I may have heard this on another podcast. Is the farm, is that used as a checkpoint for some of your races? Is that correct?
Well, it was. New for next year, we're rerouting all the summer routes. However, the first ever Pen Llyn Ultra was back in 2016. What we want to do is, initially it was set up just to bring an endurance tourist down to the Llyn Peninsula, because we rely heavily on tourism. So it's just to promote the Llyn, because a lot of the endurance tourists, they get as far as Snowdon Eryri, Wyddfa, and they go, this is it, this is Disney World, and they forget to go to where we are. So anyway, my plan was to show them the true Llyn Peninsula. So we had a couple of aid stations, which is, so we've got a couple of pubs that you actually run in and out of. The Vic Llyn, which was for the winter. We had Ian from Wigan that went in, and there was a hen do, and they thought he was a stripper. And that video's gone viral. So we've just got Ian running in here, and all these people go, ah! And he's like, "Hey, yeah, I can tell where the checkpoint is. I want some custard." And they're going, "Get him off, get him off." And he's like, "What's going on here?" So yeah, we're pushing the boundaries. So anyway, my house.
Did he get involved, or was he a bit?
He was too busy smiling. He was too busy smiling, and our aid station captain Mary Lou ushered him safely to some crisps and stuff. So anyway, yeah. But the house, where I'm sat now, this was a checkpoint for the first Ultra that we had in 2016, where we had people actually running into the house, using the toilet if they wanted. We had people who were like friends and family sat in the living room. There's about 20 of them all watching our TV.
I'm really worried about the state of the carpets in your house after that.
We've got tiles.
But the carpet.
Tiles, toilets, tiles, sort of thing.
It's a farm.
The toilet roll.
I guess you just...
I don't think Lisa would let it wash. I don't think I'd get away with that, Lisa. By the way, Lisa.
my problem is I'm rubbish with dates, names, numbers, and everything. The second year we held the Pen Llyn Ultra, which was the 75 miles, was our wedding. No, it wasn't. It wasn't our wedding anniversary. It was my wife's birthday that actual weekend. So everybody, part of the mandatory kit, had to give her a birthday card whenever she came in, because she was 8, so she had like 127 birthday cards. But yeah, we've moved the dates since then completely.
That's a heavy flex in the window, all those birthday cards.
I'd have asked for cake. I'd have said, everyone bring me cake. Can you imagine?
Or a bottle of wine.
And what are your local trails like then, Hugh? Living on a farm, I expect you got some lovely running routes.
The Llyn Peninsula, I've been lucky enough to travel all over the world with work and pleasure. Pleasure? Is that the word? Leisure, pleasure. I'd say the Llyn Peninsula just has it all. You've got the beach trails, you've got the coastal trails, you've got the woodlands, you've got the verts, you've got the little hills. There's something for everyone. I think what's lovely about it as well is the coastal path, the Welsh coastal path in North Wales is in such good condition that it's a great place for people that want to give trail walking or trail running a go for the first time. Sort of thing. There's, the local bus service is really good for taking people here and there, and the towns and the village. So it's a great location if you want to give trails a go before going up into the mountains and so on. So I think it's a beautiful part of the world.
I've been on the beaches around you, and they are gorgeous.
Where have you been? Are you Edwina or Ed?
Either Eddie. My family are from Amroth, my dad's side of the family.
Where's that?
Amroth, near Tenby. So we've often come over for our summer holiday and then driven up your way, up to the beaches, because...
Where have you been? Do you remember?
No, I don't remember the name, but I'm going to ask my dad now, because he loves...
him. Game on. Phone a friend.
Phone a friend. I'm going to ask Dad. What's the name? And it's got a lovely cafe. Let me find out what it's called. Let me find out what it's called.
There's lots of lovely cafes.
I know, there's lovely cafes. You carry on. I'm going to find the name of the beach.
Okay.
Well, that was magical. When my experience of Wales, I've been there a few times to watch Sunderland play Cardiff, but yeah, literally is from Conwy and Dragon's Back race route all the way to Cardiff. But spectacular. But yeah, guilty. I've not really gone any further along the coast from Conwy, but even just driving into Wales, it was like, oh my goodness me. Could you share with our listeners a bit about your background? I'm curious, you're race director now, coach, and lots of things like that. Have you always worked in sport, or it's relatively recent?
If you'd have turned around to me about 20 years ago and said I'd have been an ultra runner, I'd have put my double rum and coke down and laughed at you in the face. I just got into ultra running because it's just a great way to explore, a laugh. A lot of people do it. I do it to push myself. It's just the laugh, the banter. I was sat in the pub with one of my friends. Oh, we're talking about 2010. And we said, Patelli needs a running club. So we set that up. He was training for the London Marathon. told me there was a space going in the Snowdon Marathon Eryri. So I signed up for that and then thought, I need to get off this tarmac rubbish. I need to go onto the trails properly. So yeah, I started just running on the trails. Not a good runner, but just loved it. And I just love the whole experience of everybody in it together. The handy thing is as well, you can be on the start line with the best of the best. And that I think is just brilliant. And then when my wife was away doing some accountancy work for a company, I signed up for the Marathon des Sables. I did that in 2017.
Ooh.
And that was sort of like it's a mind-bending race. And I'd say any parameters that you've got, all that gets dropped in the desert. It's just you, earth, brain.
So between the Snowdonia Marathon and the Marathon des Sables, let me get the right build up. Was that like quite quick?
No, I think I did the Eryri Marathon about another 2 times. I had to do it a second time because my daughter, took so long, my daughter wanted to run in with me, but they'd gone to get some tea and cake. And then when I'd finished, so she was going to have to do it again next year. And I was like, all right then. So yeah, I caught it. There used to be, back in the day, this is going back to 2016, the Snowdonia 50. This was before GB Ultras and Wayne's brilliant events. This was the Snowdonia 50. And it was out of school. My good friend Gordon Hughes, so your listeners and viewers will know, he said, I'll come with you. I said, okay, I'll pay for the petrol. He goes, I'll bring us the tent, sort of thing. And like these beach tents that you get. He brought one of them and it was a blizzard. And then Gordon said, what I like to do before I run an ultra is have an Indian takeaway. So new to the sport, had that. And are we allowed to use mild swear words on here?
Oh yeah, we're okay.
So
we're
I spent 50 miles just shitting all over Snowdonia.
Oh,
Just
lovely! Oh,
heavily pooing. And then we got into, when people say I hit a wall, I just think I just ran out of stuff in me. And we got to, it was like zip wire was just getting built back in the day. And they said, I'll have some salt. And I remember being so off my head with exhaustion that I drank like a half cup of salt. They were all looking at me. And then I was like, yeah, this is ace. And off we ran into the darkness. I started to see like floating. Honest to God, if you used to like raving back in the day, coming to ultras, brilliant. It is. Yeah, that's what people say. Oh, yeah, I do it first. No, you don't. You just like to go clubbing and being off your face in the dark. And then we got in, and that was it. That was my first ever ultra. And then I heat trained so well. I used to work in an office. I was a career tourist back in the day. I wore my wetsuit underneath my actual suit in the office I worked on for 2 weeks. But I'd acclimatized so well when we arrived to the Sahara Desert, I was just freezing.
No, I need to ask more questions about this wetsuit. Surely did people not ask, you were slightly waddling around the place? Were people like, you're right, Hugh? You're right,
no, nobody cares. Nobody. People get self-conscious, but in the world, nobody cares. I was just like walking around. I was like, if you'd come to the house, Caddis and the kids walking around in their like bathing suits, my son in his shorts because it was so hot, and I'd be sat there on the sofa.
Any
hats.
Tapping through?
Nothing. And I did. This is where it gets a little bit peculiar. I think I'm going to use the word. What my main plan was for going to the Marathon des Sables. I'm one of these tourists, right, that just wants to get stuck in, and I decided to learn French because the aid stations and Patrick Brew, who are, obviously, in case he wanted to have a chat with me about joining him in the team.
Media interviews, because you could be leading at any point. I get you.
Anything.
Yeah.
I thought I'd learn French. So, to multitask, there was this guy who was doing French lessons, Laurent Gorse, good friend of mine. He's now an ultra runner as well. He was starting his French teaching business. And I said, do you mind if you come and teach me French in the sauna in my other friend's farm, which has got like a little gym every Tuesday evening? So he did. So what would happen would be sat in the sauna, I'd be sat fully clothed, and he'd be sat in his pants speaking French to me, and I'd be speaking a little bit French back to him. And
I remember, I can't remember it now. There's the French for my nipples are chaffing.
Brilliant.
So I could get some plasters, and I knew what plasters was and stuff. But there was a couple that were on holiday. They came in when I was talking to him, and I think we stopped after that for some reason. But yeah,
Standard.
but he became he was just a 5K-er. But the more time he spent with me, he became an ultra runner. Lawrence was a lovely guy. But yeah. So
I wonder if his nipples have ever chaffed. Surely.
Yeah. Oh, do you know what? Whenever somebody, like you get these hints and tips, and some of them are stating the obvious. So he said, "Well, why don't you put plasters on your nipples one day?" And I was like, "Wow!" And it does work. You know, around people, gurney goo, a good one. Vaseline, another good one. But just tape your nipples up.
Once I saw someone on a really hot day who pierced safety pins through his nipples so that he could attach his number to his chest without wearing a t-shirt.
You just go home. Go home, you show off.
Shouldn't be allowed out skin like that.
And you just know you'll be sitting down the Christmas dinner, and they'll be going, "Yeah, I was in this ultra marathon, and I had to. Get out of the house. Go on, you and your Viennetta, get out, get out."
Tell us more about Marathon des Sables. So this must have been quite a big adventure.
Oh, it was a laugh. It's a walk. You know, people say it's the toughest foot race on earth. It's just for marketing. It's a walking holiday in the Sahara Desert. It's a walking holiday. All this Ravat, it's just a brilliant event to go on. We had a laugh. I got in contact with Steve Dietrich before the race. He's the organizer from the UK. And I said, "Do you mind giving my email address to everybody that's born in Wales, so we can have a Welsh tent?" And he did. And there was about 8 of us the first day in the Welsh tent. And we had my plan was to run with blow up daffodils, and great idea until you're in the searing heat of the Sahara Desert. Right, fuck this. We couldn't give that away. Yeah. But it was a great mix of a tent. We had a couple of oil riggers, myself, a good friend Jeremy Collins. We had a Marine. He had to pull out because his heart rate just went to rubbish. There was this other guy who emigrated to Australia. There was Calvin Harris, a chef who had a blister and cut it off with his knife. And, and we were all like this. What are you doing? He just produces that and cuts it off. And then there was Paul. And whenever people say, if you're doing the Marathon des Sables, say, "Oh yeah, the first one in, they all tidy and get all the stones from." No, they don't. They just go to sleep in the corner. Load of rubbish. But yeah, fantastic event. I think it's really exciting with the new lead looking after it. Marathon des Sables. If you can do it, do it. By hook or by crook, even if you've got to get yourself into financial debt, just go and do it. That's what I mean. Just get yourself into debt.
How does it work though? With the Dragon's Back race, we kind of progressively moved down Wales. Is that the same with the course? You camp, then they lift everything up and then move it, or do you come back to the same camp?
You camp, and then I think you literally go. I think it's some 20 miles now. Ian Corliss, legend. He'll probably correct me because I'm going to get this wrong. But I think the direction back, we went in a sort of in a round area. It's like 2 marathons. It's not. It's a little bit under a marathon every day, and then the long stage is about 80 kilometers. But by then you've gone mad. I got to a state there, and I was like, I can't come back. Because I really did commit with my training. 100%. You've got your social friends that I just didn't contact. I said, "Look, guys, I'll see you in 6 months."
Yeah.
And then I just, it's something like that you don't want to just go in it half-hearted. You just go in it 100%. And then the long stage, it's like, let's just get through this. And then the marathon, I just attacked that like a lunatic. But you meet some incredible people. You probably had on the show, or you've heard of Kevin Webber.
I heard of Kevin.
I spent a lot of time with Kevin out there. And since then, he's been like a sounding board for my own health since then. But, we had Elizabeth Barnes, Damo Hall, and, they start on the long stage behind you. So you've got all these super runners running past you, and you get to I didn't. I was just walking. So my contact lenses were melting out my eyeballs. But yeah, it's cracking race.
I'm sure I did. God, I could be completely remembering this wrong. Did Jack Osborne do it? Ozzy Osbourne's son. I'm sure he did the Marathon des Sables one year.
I'm not sure.
I'm going to
Maybe
Google
he did.
You're going to Google it. It's going to go. I'm almost scared to ask this one, Hugh. Coach, race director, podcaster, content creator over on YouTube. What does a week look like for Hugh Williams?
I sit in my pants on the living room with my dog. That's what I do. You know, like people, oh yeah, I got a very important day. Make it a play day. Somebody said to me early on in my life, said, enjoy everything with the wonderment rather than the worry. So yeah, that's what I do. Average day, I'll get up, I'll take my meds, I'll go for a walk, muck about with the dog, and then I'll just do whatever bits of projects on and so on. So if it's podcasting, recording, race directing, fundraising and stuff like that, but it's all fun, you know, sort of thing. So it's, but I tend to tail off. I've got the body clock. I don't know if other ultra runners get this. I've got the body clock of an airport. I wake up at mysterious hours, and rather than lying in bed going, oh, can't go back to sleep, I'll get up and I'll start the day and become activated, and then I'll stop within about 6 or 8 hours and then make sure that I'm relaxing and having fun. But yeah, I tend to tail off in the afternoon energy-wise, and that's when I'll park everything. You've got to park everything. You know, so many people think, I'll just do this. You've got loads of time. You're all right. Don't put yourself under pressure.
Jack Osborne entered 2006, but left early in the middle of the second stage. It was part of a television program he was recording called Adrenaline Junkie.
He wasn't really, was he?
No. Oh, well, he did. I'm pretty sure this is correct on that Adrenaline Junkie. I'm pretty sure he climbed El Capitan. So that is pretty impressive. Yeah. I might have made that up too.
Where's that?
Yosemite, America. In America. Yosemite National Park.
Oh, right, yeah.
Oh, it's pretty spooky. It's pretty epic. That shows you exactly.
That is beautiful.
2006, I must have been wedged into the sofa just watching loads of reality TV.
Yeah, you pulled that knowledge out pretty quickly, Gary.
Yeah. Yes. That's my hedonistic days, that is. I don't want to divulge too much information. Also, Hugh, though, as a race director, you get to wear an orange spacesuit quite regularly. That's awesome. I'm sure I've seen some pictures of you online. How did that come about?
Everybody's like, oh, he's that dickhead from North Wales that dresses up as that's not what a pleb. One of the fundraisers I did for when I was going to the Marathon des Sables, I got in contact. There's a tiny little island off the Llyn Peninsula called, unessentially, Bardsey Island, and that's where 20,000. Now listen to this. Okay, we're digressing, but listen to this. Apparently 20,000 saints are buried there. Come on, you know, if you were in the burial business back in the day, go, come on, let's go to North Wales. Okay, there's holes to dig. Anyway, but it's a beautiful island. It's got that kind of vibe. There's a kind of like a spiritual vibe, like you get, like say in Glastonbury, that kind of grounding. So I asked if we could do a marathon, the first ever marathon on the island. You've got to get like a little yellow ferry across, and they let us do that. And then since then, we do a lottery marathon, which only 10 people are allowed because that's the amount of people on the ferry that goes over. And rather than putting signs down and so on, I thought I'll make myself a marker.
Oh, you're the sign.
In a certain area. So I put the astronaut suit on and I just stood at the side of the mountain until they did their first loop, so they knew what way to go for.
Cone is a better description of the orange jumpsuit than
a what?
A cone.
A cone, yes. I made myself a cone. Yes, that's how I roll. And then I thought, I'll just carry on wearing this.
You touched a little bit on the races. You talked a little bit earlier about setting up a running club. Can you tell us a little bit more about your journey as being a race director, your races that you organise now?
Yeah.
What's occurring in Wales?
Yeah. Well, what happened was, there's always like a defining moment, isn't there? I think with anything we think, ooh, I need to sort of like grab this by the balls. One of my friends, Gordon, again, he went to do the famous icon. If you haven't done it, go and do it. It's the best race on the planet. the Ring of Fire on Anglesey.
Oh, the Ring of Fire. I know.
Yeah, that's it. Yes.
And they play
Why
that
you
theme tune at the finish.
Edwina, why are you doing a South Walian accent?
Oh, it's an international accent that I use.
Come on.
Every guest who has an accent.
If you want to do a Patelli accent, right?
Yes.
You want to do Patelli, yeah?
Yeah.
You say, yeah, after everything we're talking about, yeah. Can I have some milk and a haircut? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nailed it.
Okay, yeah. So, yeah. Anyway. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Oh, nice hair. Thanks. So some milk. Okay, yeah. Anyway, the Ring of Fire, and I just saw that and I thought, oh my gosh, the Llyn Peninsula is crying out for something like this. And I want to do it before some big company comes down, does the event and takes all the money there and doesn't give out 3 places or any of that malarkey. And I was lucky enough I used to do quite a lot of sailing around the Llyn, and you just see it from the very remote parts that it. Have I got a picture? There's a little picture. Look at that viewers.
Oh yeah.
Beautiful. And there's a pub down there. That's where it's starting in the winter. But see in the background there, that was the island I was talking about, and that's. But yeah, so if you see it from this perspective of on the sea, you really see the ruggedness and so on. And I thought, right, let's put one on the Llyn Peninsula. So I put it out there. We had 46 people sign up, which was incredible. You know, without them, we wouldn't be able to put on the different events that we have since. Made a little bit of a schoolboy error. I bought some fireworks off the internet, and they cost something like 210 quid. And I put them, my friend's a policeman, he hasn't helped since. I said, do you mind going up on that sand dune and letting these off? And he let it off, and it sounded like we were under attack. And it went on for quite a long time. There was lots of complaints. I couldn't go into Asda for about 6 months. From then, we just threw it into the different events that it is now. What
different events are there? Give us a list.
But it's boring for the viewers. You know, it's because this is my new book. Oh, right, okay. You've got starting in April. We've got the Pen Llyn Ultra. We'll focus on that properly in a minute. The Pen Llyn Ultra. Oh no, we might as well do it now. I came up with the Pen Llyn Ultra idea. I'm stage 4 inoperable cancer. I was diagnosed the tail end of 2019. That put an end to my sort of running career and almost put an end to my life. With neuroendocrine cancer, I've got my primary in my small bowel, and then the secondary is in the liver. The neuroendocrine cancer it's a hybrid, so as well as the cancer spreading, it excretes various hormones. So you've got all different chemicals in your body. One of them serotonin. So for sometimes you can feel yourself quite anxious, and if you weren't aware that it's sort of chemically led, then you'd be like, oh, what's going on here? So it's being mindful. What also happened, though, was the hormones, and this is the mental bit of how your body works. The hormones from the neuroendocrine cancer tumours excreted, and then I was, in 2018, my health just deteriorated. I'd gone from running in the mountains to like getting jittery and white-fingered, and I'd always had a bit of a bad belly, but I put that down to heavy drinking at the odd weekend or a big race, and I haven't been eating properly. But my fitness just went, and I thought, hang on a minute, I think my lungs are packing in, or I've got lung cancer, or my heart's packing in. What's going on here? And I went to get my daughter from school one October afternoon. Came back, and I was just like having something to eat near the kitchen sink, and it was as if somebody shot me through the window, and I just collapsed on the floor, and I was like, hang on a minute, I'm a bit too busy to die. And I just finished reading The Monkey Paradox, The Chimp Paradox, the book. Yeah. And it was like how to take control of your brain, because I'm into all that kind of stuff. I was like, right. So I phoned up the ambulance, and they said, oh, we haven't got anything for about 15 minutes. Who is it? I said, it's myself. And then my sister-in-law, she came in, and it was like, you know, in movies, if they said, hey, act surprised whenever you walk into it, she walked into it. It was almost like, okay, take 2 on that. It was like, and I was lying on the floor, and I was like in pain. I was thinking, it's a bit overdramatic. That's overdramatic, isn't it? So she phoned the ambulance, and they arrived, and he tapped me on the shoulder. Gallstones, mate. That's what that is. I went, right. Anyway, they did all the tests that day, and they came back and said, look, you've got a shadow on the small bowel. And you go, what, cancer? And he goes, yes. And you instantly go, how long have I got left to live? He goes, don't know. He goes, got lesions on the liver. So I was in hospital for about 5 weeks in Bangor because they were doing all these different tests and so on. And, I went for the biopsy. But, you see the nice picture of the man like this and a nurse. But that went all the way back and it took on a while. And I had quite a lot of morphine. And then when I came back to my bed, I had some more morphine and I honestly felt like a pineapple. I was just lying in bed and my wife was talking across me to one of my friends. And I was like, I'm a pineapple. You know what I mean? I was like, Jesus Christ. So anyway, fast forward to the energy loss and the depletion. What has happened was the hormones wore out one of my heart valves. So as well as having the cancer, I went in for open heart surgery for a heart valve replacement in April 2020. Now, because of the cancer, you get what's called the carcinoid flush, where you get, for no apparent reason, you get extreme flushes and you go really red and your heart palpitates. So I had to be on another intravenous sort of like fluid to suppress that whenever Dr. Muir had me open. So he's working on me. When he had me open, he noticed that the two other heart valves had depleted. So he put 3 new heart valves in me, and I was under for about seven hours. And they said, before that, you're an ultra runner, you'll be fine, you'll be able to come back within whatever. And I woke up and I was in intensive care. I was like, has it been a successful operation? That's the first thing, because I was cautious of having a pacemaker or it not working. He goes, yeah, we've replaced all 3 valves. I was like, I'll come in for one. I think you've got me mistaken with somebody. No. And I was like, bloody hell. So I was like lying there and it's deadly quiet. And I can hear this like, tick, 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 tick. So like I've got all these like wires in me and I was like, excuse me. Don't know if it's the machine behind me, but there's this ticking going on. Can you stop it? She goes, that's your heart valve. I beg your pardon. Yeah, you got your 2 mechanical and 1 bovine. I said, can you turn it down, please? And they said, no, that's it now. That's how you'll sound. And it was like, wow. My recovery wasn't, like I was seeing old men, in the 90s getting wheeled in for the operation and they'd be out in about 2 or 3 days. And I was still in 3 weeks later and I just wasn't making any kind of headway just because of the cancer as well. And then my wife came in and she said, oh, Hugh, I won't be able to visit you because there's this thing called COVID that's happened. I was like, well, what do you mean? So like all the support that I'd booked, like say the physio, I even booked like a psychiatrist to be able to speak to about it, just in case, there was some sort of brain lag that, I needed discussion. My specialist nurse, my heart doctor, everybody, they had to go on the front line. And basically just whenever COVID happened, 2 days after, I was sent home in a taxi and I spent, I'd say about 8 months in the spare room, just trying to get better. But I'm going into this a bit, I had to wait. There was some targeted therapy called PRRT. Now, although inoperable, it's manageable, but my heart had to get better stronger to be able to have PRRT treatment. So 2021, I started to get be able to walk to the gate and back and did a little bit, but nothing strenuous. Running's gone. I went for a defib, because I had AF, my heart wasn't syncing properly and they needed to do because I'd be sitting on the sofa, I'd be full of beans and then I'd be like fast asleep. So you've got your cancer fatigue and then your heart fatigue and then your recovery fatigue. So I went in for the defib. That was a success. 10 days later, I had enough energy to walk down towards the gate and all this side just went completely, the vision went and my legs became heavy and I was like, oh shit, I'm having a stroke here. What's going on? Yeah. But I managed to get back to the house and it was a clot. So they took me in. So got the strength and then all last year was having PRRT treatment. This is where you're wired up, you're getting your radiation sort of thing. And then you're 21 days radioactive. So you're in the spare room again from everyone. And then the start of the year, it was slight reduction. My last CT scan was a slight progression on the liver. So it has to be a certain size before we can start chemo. So I'm just kicking the chemo can down the road for another 6 months. And then from there, we see what it's like. But I think before any of the illnesses, I've got the same approach to life as it was before to what it is now. You with me? A lot of people, they need like a life moment or an illness to sort of get on with their lives. I'm lucky I've always had that. You know, that's how I've always been. Like, oh, let's do this. Yeah. And I think that is, you know, my saving grace that I'm able to, you know, move forward with everything. But yeah, as he said to me, he goes, Hugh, if you didn't have the fitness you did of being an ultra runner, and I was mid-packer, you and me, you wouldn't have survived that operation. So I think, you know, even if you're not going for podium or if you're just going to enjoy, running will save your life. You know what I mean? Yeah. Mentally and physically, it's a great fallback to have, you know. So, you know, those days you don't want to go for a run, just go for a run. Yeah. Simple as that. Got a bit serious then, but yeah, you know, it's good to bring that in. So, and I don't like to dramatize it because everybody's got their problems. You know, it's becoming a sort of like the norm with some ultra runners or influencers to dramatize a situation whenever, you know, this is the race you've entered. You've gone out there to have fun. Don't dramatize it. Yeah. You know, there's other people in there, and I don't mean me. You know, there's other people in the world who just would love to be able to like walk or get to the front door, and you're complaining about, come on. See, I think I come from the kind of Fred Dibner and John Noakes world where, you know, you give it a go and it's all about having a laugh rather than Bear Grylls going, like this. Come on.
I've seen that video where John Noakes goes to Trafalgar, Nelson's column. I wouldn't do that.
I know. In flares.
I don't think he had a safety harness on.
Oh, it's brilliant. You know, when they used to throw him out of like airplanes and the red arrows, and it's because that was the coverage we were getting. You know, let's have a chat about what we're doing. That's what I've taken into whenever I was doing adventures or projects or seeing it like with like the wonderment and the fun, rather than going, okay, we're doing 100 miles. Let's be really serious about this. Than, come on, let's have a party. Yeah, you know, if you look at Courtney Dollwater, massive smile on her face, enjoying
she's
it.
Pushing it,
yeah, and that's what it's. I reckon for all your listeners and viewers, enjoy it, see it with wonderment. Yeah, unless it's a really big important race, then really switch on and get focused.
I think there's some psychology in there. Smile on your face makes it feel better. I think there's there's some evidence behind that.
Yes,
you
100%.
Mentioning she races, she ultra. Sorry.
Oh yeah. Sorry. So digress.
Tell me more.
So when I was getting treatment and so on, I was thinking about, you know, you've got the Race for Life and the Moonwalk, but there wasn't a ultramarathon fundraiser for women. I was thinking, wouldn't this be absolutely fantastic if there was a she ultramarathon? It's a 50-kilometer race on the Llyn. Well, it's not a race; it's an event on the Llyn Peninsula. I released the places. The start of this year, we were sold out 500 places within a month, all gone. We've got a waiting list as well. And it's going to be for walkers as well as the runners. There's going to be buddies at aid stations to walk or run with the women. That you can sign up incognito. It's only women photographers. It's only a women at aid stations. It's a full women's only ultramarathon about the power of what can be done. And also for fundraising, we've got a £1 million 5-year target for raising funds for women with cancer, women living with cancer. Sorry, women living with somebody with cancer. So like my wife, you know, a lot of the time you don't really see the behind the scenes people of the person with disease and women who have lost somebody to cancer. She races. Sophie Power, met up with her in Chamonix. You know, she's behind it 100%. But the mix, you know, we've got She Ultra ambassadors. The mix, it's not about the running. You know, the sort of like the gateway to get the fundraising. But I just knew at one point, somewhere, we'd put on a big event, all women ultra marathon, and a charity wouldn't be the main direct benefit, and that's what it's about. But it's, once again, it's bringing tourism to the Llyn Peninsula. I think, you know, we all know if you've done a trail or an ultra race and you have a look around, you become the sort of like the salesperson for that part of the world. So yeah, I'm really excited, and you know, it just shows that there is something for everyone. You know, because we got a lot of walkers. So rather than just having a medal at the end, you get a medal as soon as you get to the start line, because that can be, you know, a journey enough for many people to just get out of bed, just turn up. You know, there's the event medal for whenever they do that. Because we work with She Races, is, you know, that all our standard now at all aid stations, not just sanitary products, but we've got, you know, we got the pads, we've got the Tampax, we've got different creams, we've also got wet wipes, and we've also got in each area an area where if you need to pump. But that's in all our races now. You know, I think it's time to, well, it has started to happen, but it needs to really happen more to disrupt this sort of macho image and this ageist image as well. You know, there's a lot of ultra runners, you know, in their 60s, 70s, like there is in trail and fell running. You know, we had John Jones, who he's done a couple of our races. He did the winter and he finished and he's like 76. So yeah, but the She Races, I cannot wait. It's going to be massive, and it's all for, you know, and it's sort of like leaving a bit of a legacy as well. You know, rather than just coming to run or that's your part. I think if you can give back a lot more than what you take, then, you know, that's what's being a human, isn't it?
Oh yeah, we can all hope for that. And also, you know, people come to the area, they'll fall in love with it. Like I go to the Lake District, say maybe do a race over there.
Yeah.
And every other weekend we're heading back again because we're just so smitten with those trails. It's great for the tourism.
Oh, it is. And I think now that COVID has gone, there's this freshness appeal and people are savouring and really enjoying their time because they remember, hang on, we were locked up for ages, rather than being like not devouring. People percolate more and they look forward whenever they're out there. So yeah, that's it.
The biggest thing I look forward to whenever I come to Wales to see my parents is the chat. I love you. You are the symbol of this, that you go anywhere and you have a very long in-depth chat with the postman, with the milk person, with anybody there where they love a good chat. So friendly, the Welsh people. Never like, I think if you come to France, you get quite a snotty reception sometimes.
What part of France are you in, Edwina?
I live in the Alps.
Whereabouts? Don't give me your direct address.
Yeah, what? I won't give you my postcode.
No.
But, yeah. So
nice.
I don't know if I'm a bit slightly tainted because I'm in a heavy tourist resort. So I don't know if people get a bit fed up with the tourists, but or it's just French. The French.
Well, I get a lot of chats in my little village.
I love it when I come back to Wales and the lovely, you get such everywhere you go, lovely chat. They always want to talk to the kids. And I love that because I miss that living out here. They're just like lovely chat. Oh, it's beautiful.
Our, majority of the marshals are either family, friends or school friends. And yeah, it's great. And, you know, we have a Christmas party. We're looking about going to Ireland, you know, with them. That's the plan. You know, we give the race credits as well and we give free races and so on. But it's, you know, I've learned now from not running that just being involved in these kind of events, if you're not a runner, is great fun. I had, I think, a couple of days, you know, whenever I was lying in hospital, resenting runners and all that. But then I thought, come on, you're still on this earth. Enjoy it. Enjoy what you can and where you can. And that's what it's about because it's amazing. I think I noticed that when I was out in Chamonix, I went to cover the UTMB and I was very much on the wall about, what's all this? But then you see all the little schools, you know, selling soup and the little villages. And that's what trail and ultra running is about. And sometimes it just gets a little bit messy on social media
Where can people find details of your trail races?
Daily Post newspaper, page 27 every Thursday.
That's super. I often get that, so I will check out not just
if they go on Facebook, so Pen Llyn, Pen, like a pen, and then Llyn, Llyn, and then Ultras. What we'll do, we got in your show notes, what we'll do is I'll give a discount, but a time discount. So it'll only last a week. So if you let me know when the show is going out, it'll only last a week, because I'll give something mental like 20%. I've said it now, haven't I? I meant to say 10%. I've gone and who's bad at haggling on TV? And he always gets it the wrong way.
You just said that's really generous.
That is super generous. That is very kind of you.
Is that bankrupt material? Have I just plummeted the
next
shares of the
year.
Pen Llyn Ultra? Shit. Yeah, so 2%.
2%, 1%.
Yeah, we can edit it all out.
20%. Come on, let's do 20%. So if you let me know when the show is, I can do a time critical 20%. What I've done. Shit.
Well, yeah, you mentioned UTMB and you went to cover it. Eddie and I, content creators, we saw that and we're like, what are you laughing for? That's a serious. But yeah, I think you did UTMB. You went to Berlin, I think maybe to see some friends, but you were in the kind of the press side of it, and even the world champs. Yeah, like what was that like being on the other side of the fence?
Awesome. I think I'm the UK representative for the organisers for ITRA, the International Trial Running Association. Geeked out of my mind, really happy to be well enough to do a second term with them. And they were having their annual, they had the annual in Chamonix, but they were big in with them. And I thought, right, I've just had treatment all last year. Am I going to die on the airplane? And it's as simple as that. I didn't know if my heart would be able to take it. And I thought, asked my wife, do you want to come with me? Nope. Not into running. Right. Asked the kids. Nope. My friends were working, and it was one of those stepping off moments. And it was like, right. So got on the plane, took off, ticking, great, will arrive. How I travel now is I make sure my hotel is right in the city and I'm close to where I need to be. I always make sure that I'm back within about 5 hours of leaving the hotel, and then I'll go to sleep for about 4 hours in the afternoon. I'll have my supper in the hotel, and that's how I do it, sort of thing. But the world champs, oh my gosh, absolutely incredible. So I was doing podcasts from there. You know yourselves, the way these events look after the media people, it's just fantastic. But
we don't know that.
Oh, come! You have to come. Just come. Just put in for an accreditation and then just come. I'm sniffing around the Valencia Marathon, which is on the 2nd.
Do it. Yeah.
Well, if I can go, but I only saw that this morning because it was in somebody's feed, and I thought, I've got a couple of Spanish friends as well. Anyway, so I don't. But yeah, so I got the cable car. Listen to this for a shit podcast host. You guys do it properly. I'm shit. So shit. Got into the cable car, right, to go up to the vert. So there was one race in the mountains, which was just like, and this is. They do like a vertical race, and I was like, all right. And then, you just stop at the top? Yeah, I said last time. So I got into the cable car, and it was all the New Zealand mountain trail team that weren't running.
Okay.
I had my podcast, everything there, and I just looked out the window like a dog in the car for 10 minutes going up. I was so excited. Any given moment of an interview, so I've had to catch up with people afterwards. I was just like, hang on a minute, have you seen that mountain? I know you're a world record breaker. Can you get out of the way, Jim Walmsley? Hang on a minute, have you seen that? Have you seen that? Sort of thing. So yeah, that was, I thought and the brilliant thing with the Worlds is they have an open race that anybody can do. Once again, shows the welcoming of trail and mountain. But Innsbruck, oh my gosh, what a place!
Beautiful.
It is, isn't it? And
yeah.
I think it's cheap to travel now. I think if people can afford to do the Spine or the Dragon's Back or any of those races in the UK, you can afford to get on an aeroplane and go and enjoy something else. I think sometimes people need to stand back and give themselves a helicopter. I'm not I'm not non-selling because I think Dragon's Back and the Spine are brilliant, but don't just go on holiday in the same place, or, you know, don't go and do a race the same place. Go and have a look at these places and stuff. But yeah, and then went to watch the UTS in Snowdonia, which is literally a 20-minute drive from where I am. And I stayed in the Victoria Hotel. And Andrew Williams, you know, who runs for Wales, he goes, I wouldn't mind a few beers. And I said, well, I've got a spare room. I've got a spare room in my room. So I just
Fantastic.
walking around with Andrew, pretending to be his friend, but really like amazed that I was with a runner. Because that's what I'm like every time, you know, in interviews or anything, I'm shit. Because I'll like go, oh my God. And then start poking people and like say, one of my heroes.
I get a bit starstruck too when I see some of the guests that we have on the show.
When
It's
you meet
wow.
me, Gary, when you meet me,
Yeah, every week.
One of my heroes is on the MC. You may have heard of him, Matt Ward. Now, Matt Ward's like he's from North Wales and he commentates on all different races and triathlons and so on. I almost got a bit of his hair with some scissors once, but I was removed from Carnarvon. Yeah, no, I've got a shrine for him in the garden. You know, he said, what are you looking at, Hugh? I'm looking at a shrine and the scarecrow of Matt Ward, who I water in the morning with milk.
I love it. Hey, we should chuck our name in the hat for this accreditation.
I know, we need some.
Do it. Don't just sit in your nice houses. Listeners for nuts. I was at the finishing line in Berlin, and there was more photographers at UTMB than there was at Berlin. So trail is where it's at. And I saw these like massive big buckets of sand, and I was like, what's this for then? And like, it might, you know, when you're like kind of non-educated hand, I was thinking, do people put their hands in it afterwards, or is it in case like they've got like the charge has gone really hot on the run? But after the first couple of runners came in, quite a lot of the marathon runners have exploding vomits.
I see.
Yeah. And so there's this one guy who just pours sand down for the duration of the marathon and pushes it away. What a job.
Sick sand guy. Love it.
What a job.
You could do that, Gary. Yeah. Want to get there? You could.
I'll do that. Press pass. Six sand guy. I'll do that.
Do it.
Right, we've got to move on to the quick five because I've got to go in 20 minutes and I feel these quick
five. Oh, come on. I've got until 7 o'clock at night and we've only just...
I feel these 12 questions are going to be not quick. Not five.
Come on. I'm trying my best.
All right. First question.
Gary's here all night for you.
Yeah, I can keep rolling. Are your dog allowed on the furniture?
Yeah. My dog, I say yeah. If my wife's watching this, no. But because I've spent so much time with my dog, the dog thinks that we're married, and then there's this evil woman that comes into the house every day at 5:30.
Yeah.
If this is how bad it's got, if Caris is sat on the other sofa and I'm sat here, and I start to speak to my wife, my dog will jump up and sit in front of me so Caris can't see my line. It's like, yeah, Izzy is just the best, and we like to hang out. I have 4 pieces of toast and honey in the morning, and she has 2 of them, and we're just the happiest dog and mum.
That's
great.
Oh,
I couldn't guess what this one's going to be. Guilty TV pleasure.
Well, do you know what? I was massively into Big Brother. I do like that reality thing. I've watched all the episodes. So that's cannot get into celebrity, get me out of here. I just think it's run its course. It's weak. But guilty TV, I'll only allow myself to watch it of an evening for a couple of hours. I'm just into films and all that kind of stuff. I won't watch some unless there's a return on investment, like a documentary.
Yes.
I won't watch like a TV show because I find them very false completely. You know, people just talking as if there isn't a camera there or a runner or that. I find that quite false. But Below Deck,
classic. We all love Below Deck.
I was waiting. I thought you were going to drag that out when you mentioned reality, and I thought you can't go wrong with a bit of Below Deck.
Love it. We've watched it. We've watched them all of them. The Australian one, everything.
Have you watched the Norwegian one?
Oh no,
that's a hard one to find. Below Deck Adventure, it's called.
Has it got subtitles? Or
no, it's English. It's English, but it's called Below Deck Adventure.
Obviously, I said 7 o'clock. I meant as soon as we finish this podcast. Brilliant. Yeah.
It's not the best. It's not got Captain Sandy, but it's still, if you run out of other seasons, we enjoyed it. Me and
Captain Sandy, personal friends. I say personal friends. I follow her on Instagram, sent her 2 messages saying, I think you're brilliant. And she said, thank you very much. And she followed me back.
Oh, wow.
So we're mates. That's how it works. We are mates.
Best
so
friends.
anything nautical you need to know, just ask me. But it has to be from the captain area, not like in
or not from the
not
head.
aft. Not aft. Or,
not the after.
Oh, we call it technical.
Sky Lounge or whatever they're always talking about. Here's the Sky Lounge. Here's the Apex where you have most of your meals.
Yes.
Big Brother's back though, isn't it? I'm sure that's.
I loved it.
On.
I absolutely loved it. I thought brilliant. It's just great, and it just although it's just edited a lot, I just like it. I'm a nosy man. I'm a nosy Parker, and it's good to see other people. I applied to go on it. About when I was living in Manchester, about how many years ago? About 18 years ago, I applied to go on it, but obviously I didn't have what they wanted, which is good because I wouldn't have found ultra running.
The last song you remember listening to, I don't know if you've got iTunes or Spotify, you could check this out.
Yeah, it was the start of the UTMB. I was going to play that for the start of the Winter Ultra, but we played the lovely Thunderstruck instead. I can't remember what it's called, but it's about like there's a big ship, like a galleon. Is it a galleon? Was that what they called? Yeah. And it's got like do 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 do. It's all that kind of brilliant. But if you want, so that's it. That was just noise, listeners and viewers. You answered the question, but you didn't actually use the words in the right area. It was a galleon. And there was music, and there was people go, okay, we're just gonna wind this up now. He's not using words. He's not using words.
Sitting down for a lovely roast dinner. Do you put ketchup on your roast dinner, Sunday roast?
Get out of my house. You and your Vienna, get out of my house.
I didn't say I did it.
I don't care.
Pudding as a treat when we were kids.
Ketchup? Have you been kicked in the head? What's the matter with you?
It wouldn't wash in my house as a kid. I wouldn't put ketchup on a roast dinner. Wouldn't be allowed.
Where did this question come from? What?
Gary's trying to find someone that does, and then he can immediately press end meeting.
Well, part of me wants to, but I just think my mum and dad would just my mum would be turning the grave. My dad would be really cross with me doing that. Yeah, it would not go down well.
I'm very cross with you.
Well, I won't ask that one again. That didn't go well, did it? Okay. Let's go back in time.
We did this. Can I tell you? We did this. Me and my wife, Caris, did this on Saturday. We went back in time. I said to her, she said, I'm really interested in history. And we were having food in Malamaison, can't even say it properly, for our wedding anniversary. And I said, why don't we go back in time? No, let's just think what it'd be like to go back in time. Now listen to this. So we were talking about what it'd be like to go back in time to whenever the Kings first happened, when Kings and Queens first happened. And I noticed, and I said to her, well, what I think is it's going to be quite drafty because they haven't got insulation yet. And so it's going to be a bit dark and everybody goes to sleep at the same time. And anyway, so we stopped talking about going back in time, right? We asked for ice cream for me and a creme brulee for Caris. They didn't do it. So we asked them another time and they go, yeah, we'll be there now. I didn't do it. And eventually they brought it over. And that's because we were new to time traveling and we hadn't really caught up with the real time. And I said this to Caris and she goes, but you're only drinking apple juice. Why are you talking absolute shit? I was like, well, but it's, so yeah. So ask me, but things might go a little bit haywire afterwards.
Okay. Well, I feel they've already done that already.
Okay, well, we'll try and remember. Go back in time. Yeah, what poster would we find on your bedroom wall when you were a teenager?
Daley Thompson, Adidas. Yes. I got it from Dave Elliott's in Bangor. I bought a pair of Adidas. I said, "Does it right if I have that poster?" And he goes, "Oh, it's the one we've got on the wall." And then I just carried on looking at him. And then he goes, "Oh, okay, we'll get it for you. We haven't got anything to put it in." I just carried on looking at him. And then he gave it to me. And I remember that was the first time, people say about talking about stepping into your power. That was the first time I thought, I want that. I'm going to bring this into my reality. And I was just like,
going to manifest.
That's the one we need for the wall. I went, I don't mind.
Nope, I won it.
Brilliant.
You got it.
Yes.
You still got Daley Thompson.
Somewhere. It's somewhere with my
Matt
1982.
The Garden.
No, it's upstairs. Oh, no, it's not with Matt Ward. I wouldn't. I don't know.
Not go together.
I don't know. I'm just see me thinking. Do you see that think? No, it won't go together.
Every week we share the podcast over on Instagram, and instead of Eddie or me picking the Instagram story music, you get the choice. What songs are going to be? What are you going to treat our listeners with?
Tara Bandito, Woman, because that's the track that we've got for She Ultra, and she's from Wales, and she's kindly let us have it. So yeah, Woman.
Okie dokie. If it's on Spotify, Instagram.
It is.
We'll make it
She's
happen.
already checks out. I love a pre-prepared. Oh, I can't find it.
Well, it's been a treat. It's been a treat to you.
Thanks very much.
Yeah, it's been a real treat. Great to hear your story. I'm sure our listeners will love it. Yeah, and if people want to check out your race series, we'll pop the links in the show notes too. Best of luck with the rest of this year. Well, it's nearly over, and 2024. And maybe, Eddie and I'll see you UTMB with our GoPros and microphones. But yeah, if you need some company, I'll carry your bags. Don't worry.
Yes. Well, there's a little. Yeah, we'll stay in touch for that one because it'll be a laugh.
That'd be awesome. It's just not something I'd ever thought
nice
we could do.
Thanks, Eddie, Edwina.
Whatever. I will.
Whatever here. We'll just get off the show.
Whatever. Call me whatever. I would love to come and toe the line at one of your trail races and to drink.
Free entry for you guys. Free entry.
No, we'll pay our way. But I'm more interested in the milk, to be honest. Love it.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Fresh.
If I could post it to France, I would. But we can't.
No, I'll pop round next time I'm down.
Oh yeah.
I'll just pop up the whatever up to
55. Is it?
Up to what is it? Straight up to. Oh my god, I need to remember all this. Remember almost just straight up. Basically, you're straight up.
Let's go up.
Straight up.
Keep the C on the left.
Keep the C on the left. Straight up. Lots of love, you, and keep us.
Hey, thanks so much. Brilliant.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care.
Cheers. See ya. Bye.
Bye bye. I love that. I could chat with Hugh all day long. I think we probably scratched the surface of Hugh's tales and anecdotes.
And in the end, I had to go, look, I'm sorry, I'm just going to have to go now because I had to get kids or something. And he was like, no, let's keep chatting.
I think we should 100% check out these press passes. Oh, I'd be.
Don't you just want to have a press pass? I think I
press.
lanyard, and then I just wear it a lot, just around like Carrefour or stuff, and just be like press, hi press.
Yeah, I always know when it's a good chat though because I've achy cheeks, and these cheeks on my face, not my other cheeks. Tales from the trails. First off, our Strava Club, and it's Aaron Robinson again. Are we sitting down with Aaron? 19th, so next week, marathon every day with his dogs, 183.8 miles. It's just mind-boggling. It absolutely is mind-boggling. And again, surprise, surprise, for duration on feet, 37 hours, 8 minutes and 31 seconds. Yeah, and if you're Patreon, reach out with your questions for Aaron. Now, Aaron has raised money and awareness for Hope and Justice, who are on a mission to end modern slavery. Yeah, so show them some love over on Just Giving. We'll pop some links in the show notes. Alice Muir takes the lead for elevation, 19,941 feet, TNF 100. That's over in Hong Kong. She's fourth female. I think it's a North Face event. It looked awesome. I did look at Alice's Strava. Yeah, well done. Super impressive. I wonder what it's like this time of year. Is Hong Kong humid 24/7 all year long, or do you get a bit of a break sometimes?
I don't know, but I also learned a lot about the history of Hong Kong from watching The Crown, which is terrible Netflix history that I learned and had to say.
You are scraping the barrel with The Crown.
Well, no, it's okay, because I was like, I need a little bit more history. I need more history. He's much better on history than me. And I'm like, tell me a little bit more about what's happened with Hong Kong and the Commonwealth. And I'm listening to, talk about history, I'm listening to the Rest is History podcast. You know, when everybody's end of year podcast percentages, what they'd been listening to, well, somebody, it could have been Andy Berry actually, was on our podcast wasn't in there, Andy, which was noted. Andy, wash your mouth out.
All these people sharing Joe Rogan, it's all logged in there. Don't
you know them as well. Gary's got a list and you're all on it, and it's naughty.
But yeah, rest is history. So that was awesome. Fun. It's been about JFK, the assassination. Super interesting. Super interesting.
We love learning, don't we, Gary? We love learning.
Never stop learning. Always a school day. Yeah, but well done, everybody. Awesome stats. I know, I'd love a little race over in Hong Kong. Imagine that. Not very good for the air miles, though. I don't think I could swing that one.
Do you have any air miles?
No.
Saying that as if you were a BA Executive Club.
Was it Avios? Avios. Adios point.
I'm going to pop into the lounge.
I've got Tesco club card points.
I've got the local garden centre one. I'm not sure what it does, but I've got the card. She swipes it. Oh, the Carrefour one is really good. You get loads of. And then we buy every time. You've got to be religious at handing it. They never ask you for it, and you have to force it on them. They don't want to take it. They zap it, but then you end up, I don't know how this works, but you put money onto the account every time it zaps it. We've got about 200 euros on there now. We use it. We buy our Christmas food shop so basically Carrefour gifts us our Christmas turkey and all the trimmings. So how we started talking about that, I don't know. I love you. Your eyes went dead halfway through. Anyway. Right, I've got a good story. I'm going to read this because if you read this, your ego is just going to explode. It's big enough already. Hi, Gary and Eddie. The podcast is the highlight of the week for me, but also the rest of the family. Husband and 3 and 8-year-olds. Kids now regularly chanting, "We want Gary, we want Gary." This is just like me. Just as we set off on a long car journey. Sorry, Eddie. I don't know why Gary has been singled out. It's fine. I'm quite used to it. He's the achiever. We can see all the trophies. I know. I'm just the limp. I'm the limp one. He's just trying to get rid of me. I won't be long before there's a new co-host. Anyway, I also would send you an update from episode 18, Tales from the Trails, the very salty sweater. I love that we're now having Tales from the Trails update. I've signed up for the Dragons Back 2024 and was dot watching the 2023 race intensely. Having witnessed this year's inferno and knowing I don't do well in the heat, I had a precision fuel and hydration sweat test undertaken by, coincidentally, a fellow dragon in training. The outcome, to no surprise, is that I am indeed a very salty sweater and would benefit from increasing the sodium fluid concentration. A personal plan was discussed to try and test over the next 10 months, and the Tea and Trails precision hydration discount was quickly deployed. The tips about dealing with heat this summer have been greatly appreciative. I now cover up much more, especially the back of my neck and the top of my head, and using the multi-use tube of fabric wrapped around my wrist to wipe the salt crystals off my face. Now researching sauna protocols for next August, just in case. All the best, Emma Walters. We want Gary. We want Gary.
Your kids have impeccable taste. Well done.
They know good cop, bad cop too, don't they, kids? They're like, she's got a voice. She could turn. He's going to send us upstairs.
We have to start saying sauna too. 2,000 years ago, the Finns invented sauna.
I'm so sorry, sauna. Let's sort your sauna out. Emma, thanks for the update. And you just know, that it's going to rain for the next Dragons Back if you do. Oh,
goodness me, yeah.
Good work. I love the planning. Oh.
Nice little 11 degrees, gentle breeze on the tops. Fingers crossed, Emma. Well, I've had a good week. Had a good week of running with Sedgefield. Lovely Tales from the Trails there. Shall we just go through the roof with some 5-star reviews as well? Who we got?
Let's just scroll down and see if we can find my name anywhere.
I'll go first. Just do the one on the top of the list. Great company. Went on a long run or just chilling. Always interesting and inspiring guest. Feeling like I might be ready to try my first ultra next year. Yes.
Do it.
Oh, wow. Let us know, Cornhill, if you do tour the line for your first ultra. And best of luck.
You put it out there. You don't put that sort of thing out there and then do it. It's written. It's written in the stars.
I love that. And we hear it quite often, don't we? People doing their first ultra. Because when you become, most of my friends run ultra, so you're in a bit of an echo chamber. So to hear people do it.
What was your first ultra?
Oh my goodness me. Probably a hard nose race. I think that is a safe bet. Can't remember, to be honest, for sure. So, but I think it was a hard nose. But yeah, I love the fact that some people are out there just starting their ultra journey. Super exciting.
Fresh, like lambs at spring.
Lambs to the slaughter.
Terrible journey and heartache that awaits them. Do it.
No.
Do it. Right, I'll just read the next one, then I won't cherry pick. That's bad, isn't it? Light-hearted, informative, and fun. I stumbled across the old podcast back in 2022, and it became my staple choice of listening on my Sunday long run. I'm so pleased Eddie and Gary resurrected the show in the new name. I've continued to use the show as my Sunday run listening and can honestly say I've laughed and cried along the last 45 shows. Long may it continue. Oops, 63. Thank you. We love that we keep you company on all those long runs.
Thanks so much for all of your 5-star reviews. Really appreciate every one of them. And it is great for the podcast if you leave a review. So please head over to Apple Podcast and leave us a 5-star review. And there is a very good chance we'll read it out.
Right, what's occurring, Gary? You've got a week back because you should be in a car smelling slightly of pepperoni and...
Well, annoyingly, my day job got pretty busy with people ordering late Christmas
you were
presents.
like, sorry, Eddie, too busy for you.
I know, yeah. So
never too busy for Eddie.
Yeah, actually making some medlangers for a change. And people have, I'm hopeful that Royal Mail doesn't let me down and they get to the various people on time for Christmas. But my plan as far as running concerned is 5 times 5 minutes. Like I said, I'm going back and doing that pre-marathon training plan again. So 15%. Also do a threshold run. I'm not too sure. I think it's like 15 minutes. It's not a huge run. And then a 2. Oh, come on then, coach. Oh.
Well, there's nothing. 15 minutes is not a training session.
Well, no, that will be 15 minutes at this threshold.
Yeah, but
so
still, it needs to be threshold run needs to be like half an hour.
Well, I've learned something today.
To the
listeners.
benefit.
Maybe it'll be half an hour threshold run.
Unless you were coming from nothing with no fitness, but I think you're fit enough to do you're using the word threshold as like a sort of tempo, aren't you?
Yes, yeah. It's kind of, I suppose, that half marathon 10K pace.
Oh, honestly, 15 minutes. I'd only just be like starting to warm up into it.
God, I'm begging for it to be over 15 minutes.
Too hard then. Too hard. You're running too hard.
Yes. Well, this
you should be able to run an hour at that pace.
100%. Yeah, but I'm like fantasy paces out at the moment. But,
so if you're running it too fast, then you're working a different energy system and then...
Got like anaerobic.
I mean, how many times can we have this conversation?
Yes, true. So we'll see how this threshold run goes. 2 hour long run over the weekend at some point too. Back is feeling better, so back to the gym. No deadlifts, so just light weights, or like I said earlier, I'll grab one of the coaches down there and just so he can check out my form.
Check my form. Hi. Listen to a podcast.
Oh, I have my t-shirt on. Oh, you know what I thought when I watched Tyson Fury at Home with the Furies and he was walking around with a Gypsy King t-shirt? I was thinking, what a dick, walking around with a bloody t-shirt. And then I'm sitting there with my Tea and Trills t-shirt on.
I went to meet someone this morning and he is like, I don't know you, but I hear you're kind of a big deal.
Classic.
You know it. I like the way this relationship is about it. Not many people would say that. I am.
Big deal. Edwina Sutton, the big deal. But yeah, there are lots of, like everybody else, rushing around getting, you rush around to make Christmas easy, but you seem to be doing 2 or 3 times as much work in the build up to have 2-3 days.
What's Gary got on his Christmas list?
All I want is...
Oh, this is a family show.
No, yeah. The Arnie book. I think it's Be Useful. I watched the Arnie documentary and not really, I've probably said this before, but not really being an Arnie fan particularly. But yeah, I warmed to Mr. Schwarzenegger and really, really enjoyed it. Took
a lot to him, I guess.
100%.
In your bodybuilding, your political
Born in
career.
Austria. Yeah, moved to America and the
Also,
physique, obviously. If he dies, he dies. Oh no, that's Drago, isn't it? Completely. I'll be back. There you go. Correct. Complete. Oh god. Complete.
Oh dear. Arnie is shaking in his boots. He is like,
terrified.
new guy in town. There's a new guy in town.
But that is it for me. But what I do need to do is give a shout out to Scott Wrigley. He's doing 24/20, which is 20 challenges for 20 years of Children's Bereavement Centre. So yeah, wow. Super, super important that people show him some love. And if you can afford it, chuck some money in the pot. I will share his Just Giving page in the show notes too. Thought of leaving my kids behind.
No. Oh,
what they would go through. I don't even really want to think about that there. So super important charity. Well done, Scott.
Yeah, amazing. Well done, Scott.
What about you? What does this week look like?
You're scared to ask this question. It looks dark. No, it's not. I'm refusing to. I mean, I'm really lucky that I do have a naturally positive spin on things. I refuse to let myself. I'm like, right, this has happened. Turn it, sort it. Which in some ways maybe you'd be like, yeah, but Eddie, you should spend some time with it. And I'm like, nope, it's done. I'm not there. Put it aside, move on. A psychiatrist could probably unpick that pretty heavily. But so I am just staying and I'm so lucky that I have such a wonderful little nest here in the Alps that I can just shut it all off. I don't need to do anything apart from look after my family, look after the kids. I'm doing a little bit of biking, walking the dogs, back of my strength, and I can just cocoon slightly and just like nestle down, focus on control the controllables, what I can do, just be like, and because we've been so ill, just really quiet and just try and, I say I'm going to move, and I'm just letting it sit. I think that's all you can do, isn't it? You can just let it sit, allow yourself to feel really sad.
Do you need to unpack everything though? Some things do need unpacking, and you need to give it that mental capacity and process what's happened. But
frankly, I think the time that will come, but I think now I just need to sit with, well, this has happened, and you feel that big wave of like such sadness and disappointment that something you've been looking forward to hasn't happened. And it's okay. You're just like, oh, just already sad. I'm just already sad that I'm not there. I got to go to my kids' parents' evening, which I wouldn't have do, which that's all thing I really invest in, because I was like, I wouldn't have been here. I wouldn't have listened. I wouldn't have seen his little face when the teacher was like, oh, what do you want to be a professional footballer? And he was like, oh my God. And so I'm just trying to be like really grateful for, like, I wouldn't have had all that. I wouldn't have had all this. There's a little bit of extra time. So there isn't a great deal to say, oh, I'm going to do this. I'm just being. I'm just getting through. And just like anything, time, every day it's like, and I looked on the tracker. I told you that last night because I was like, I'm a fan of the sport. Laura, who's leading me at the moment, she's a friend. We shared some trauma in the spine together. And I was looking forward to running with her and seeing her. So, and a few of the other girls that I know that I've met got their backs. I want to see. Also really interested to see how the race unfolds. Also, I had times that I had planned to see how realistic those were.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting.
Where would I have seen myself in the field? So, trying to be like, maybe look at doing it in the future. And actually, if I get to do it next year, I have that information. I have those times of what people did, which this year they're just running it into the unknown. They don't know how fast that course is run. So they could be running too fast. Anyway.
What's the, when do you have to be finished? I wonder if somebody could be still running when this podcast
96 hours. So yeah, people will still be out there. So maybe, oh gosh,
good luck.
I don't think if you're still out there, then you would have the power to go on Spotify.
Download this. Oh yeah, Teen Trails.
And then next week we'll talk a little bit about the future. We love a plan. We have a plan, but
I'm not allowed to talk about it.
Let's just be, and next week we'll have our Christmas special. Our Christmas party in Teen Trails Tower.
Yay, Bob. Oh, get my
eggnog. Do you feel like eggnog?
No way.
What were we going to do? We're going to photocopy our bums? What do people do at Christmas parties?
Yeah, Christmas party, yeah. Photocopy bums, that is, and should just get smashed.
I mean, it would take probably, I mean, you had 6 pints the other night. I last had a drink, July.
Oh my goodness.
So shall we have a sherry and let's just see where the podcast goes?
I couldn't think of anything worse than it. I'll see what booze I've got. Maybe we'll have a crack a brew.
I tell you what, my dad's going to be here and he's a mega fan of the podcast. We could get the Colonel a no holds barred, give him a sherry and ask him his opinion on various Anyway, whatever you're doing in this crazy week, so many people are ill and trying to juggle training, especially people that are training for the arc or the spine. This is hard. They're busy at work, busy with families. Everybody's got colds and coughs. That's you. Do your best. That's all you can do.
That's all you can do, yeah.
All you can do, throw in extra rest, eat more mince pies, and then join us with a sherry at the Tea and Trails Christmas party next week. Can't wait.
You're not going to drink, you're not coming in. That's the
let's add electrolyte to the sherry.
Precision fuel and hydration chaser.
Of course, you branched up. Right.
I got Nathan actually reached out because he was super impressed that I did my It's Why We Run challenge hungover. I wasn't really that hungover, but I had a lot of beer. And he asked me, did I take precision fuel and hydration or an electrolyte?
Did you drink it? Yeah, well, you took it out with you that night, didn't you? Just popped it in your beer. I wonder that should be our next question to Andy is like, can you put if you put electrolyte and alcohol, is it like...
You can just test it out.
This is a Christmas party.
Do it next week. On the plinky plunks.
Right.
Okay, right, let's go.
I spilled my tea over my sandwich at the start of this episode, so I still haven't any lunch and I need more tea. So let's go.
What a trooper.
Such a trooper. Thank you to Precision Fuel and Hydration for continuing to sponsor the show. Thanks to our partners and patrons. We couldn't do this without your ongoing support. Right, here we go. Who thought that these mantras would become something? They've become their own. Haven't they helped us this year? And I know they've helped lots of people as well. So be kind to your future self. Breathe and believe, and remember progress, not perfection. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, and give us a Christmas share.
I'm still not 100% invested in progress, not perfection. I need to let that one in a bit. But be kind to your future self. And, breathe and believe, 100% there. Yeah, let progress, not perfection in. Let it in.
I think
that could
you are an absolute candidate for progress, not perfection every week, Gary. So.
Keeping it real. Thanks for listening. Quite frankly, there are loads of things you could be doing instead of listening to the Tea and Trails podcast. So yeah, big thank you from both of us. You are all awesome, and we hope you have the best of weekends. Best of luck if you're racing, or best of luck with your long runs or whatever you're doing. Maybe a wild wee. We've not got any wild wee pictures recently.
No, we don't need any because we all know what's going to happen. Someone will take a picture of something inappropriate and send it our way.
But I'm loving all the snood pictures, and I ordered extra orange this time. So yeah, the orange is beefed up, juicier, I think is the correct
Jaffa
word for our snood. Yeah, Jaffa orange. So yeah, I love seeing the pictures of your snoods, and I think I'm on top of them. I think we're catching up, but I might not send them out. I don't want to get lost in the Christmas post, so maybe we'll catch up again after Christmas. So yeah, why not listen to the UK's #1 trail running podcast and warm yourself up with a favourite brew? I need to know, listeners. I mentioned one of the Brew with the coaches, the off-air conversation. I mentioned Yorkshire Tea's biscuit brew, and everybody looked at me in disgust.
It's still, the face is still there.
Well, I quite enjoyed it, but I'm curious if any of our listeners drink biscuit brew on that bombshell. My name is Gary Thwaites. Bombshell of shame. And that was episode 51.
I haven't even said my name. This podcast is going down the tubes.
I'll do that again. My name is Gary.
Say it again, Gary.
my name is Gary. Come on, Eddie. 10 seconds.
I'm Eddie Sutton.
And that was episode 51 of the Tea and Trails podcast.